The memories of my childhood are etched into the very fabric of my being, woven with threads of both joy and sorrow, laughter and tears. I recall the cozy little house where I spent my formative years, nestled at the edge of town like a secret haven hidden from the world's prying eyes. It was a modest abode with peeling paint and creaky floorboards, but within its walls, my family forged bonds that were unbreakable. As I stepped through the doorway of my childhood home in my mind's eye, the scent of my mother's cooking wafts through the air, mingling with the faint aroma of my father's pipe tobacco. It is a scent that fills me with a sense of warmth and nostalgia, transporting me back to a time when life was simpler and worries were few. I can hear the distant hum of the factory where my father toiled away his days, the rhythmic clanking of machinery serving as a constant backdrop to our lives, and I can see my mother, her gentle smile lighting up the room as she bustles about, tending to the hearth and home with a quiet grace that belies the strength within her. But amidst the comforting familiarity of home, there lurked shadows of hardship and adversity. I was always the sickly one, plagued by a litany of ailments that left me frail and vulnerable. It seemed that no sooner had I recovered from one illness, another would come creeping in to take its place, leaving me confined to my bed and yearning for the simple pleasures of childhood. And then there were the bullies like Helen, whose sharp words cut deeper than any physical ailment ever could. I can still hear her cruel laughter echoing through the schoolyard, her mocking taunts ringing in my ears like a relentless drumbeat. "Hey, look at the ghost girl," she would jeer, her words like daggers aimed at my fragile heart. But amidst the darkness, there were moments of light, glimmers of hope that shone through the gloom like beacons in the night. I remember the tender embrace of my grandmother, her arms a sanctuary in a world gone mad. "You are stronger than you know, my dear," she would whisper, her words a balm to my wounded soul. And I remember the fierce determination that burned within me, a fire ignited by the knowledge that I was not alone in my struggles. With each passing day, I vowed to rise above the cruelty of the world and carve out my own path, one filled with hope and possibility. As I reflect on those childhood memories, I am filled with a sense of gratitude for the trials that shaped me and the loved ones who stood by my side. For it is through adversity that we discover our true strength, and it is through love that we find the courage to face whatever challenges may come our way. Amidst the tumult of my childhood, there existed an oasis of tranquility, a refuge from the storm of bullying and adversity. It was within the walls of my family home that I found solace, amidst the loving embrace of those who cherished me unconditionally. I recall the comforting scent of my grandmother's kitchen, where the aroma of freshly baked cookies mingled with the gentle hum of her old-fashioned stove. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the worries of the world melted away like snowflakes on a warm spring day. As I sat at the worn wooden table, watching my grandmother work her magic in the kitchen, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. Her hands moved with practiced ease as she kneaded dough and stirred pots, her movements a graceful dance that spoke of years of experience and love. "Here, child, have a cookie," she would say, her voice a melody that echoed through the air. "They're fresh from the oven, just like you." I would take the proffered treat with a grateful smile, savoring the warmth and sweetness that filled my soul with every bite. In those moments, I felt safe and loved, cocooned in the warmth of my grandmother's love, like a butterfly in its chrysalis. But it was not just in the kitchen that I found solace. It was in the quiet moments we shared, sitting together on the porch swing as the sun dipped below the horizon. There, amidst the soft glow of twilight, my grandmother would impart her wisdom upon me, her words a soothing balm for my troubled heart. "You are stronger than you know, my dear," she would say, her eyes twinkling with a wisdom born of a lifetime of experience. "Do not let the cruelty of the world dim your light. You are a beacon of hope in a sea of darkness, and no amount of hardship can extinguish your inner fire." Her words resonated within me like the tolling of a distant bell, filling me with a sense of purpose and resolve. For in her gentle guidance, I found the strength to endure the trials that lay ahead, knowing that I was not alone in my struggles. And amidst the chaos of schoolyard taunts and whispered insults, I clung to the memory of my grandmother's love like a lifeline, drawing strength from her unwavering faith in me. Dialogue. "Grandma, why do they hate me?" I asked one evening, my voice trembling with emotion. "They don't hate you, child," my grandmother replied, her voice soft but firm. They fear what they do not understand, and sometimes that fear manifests itself in cruelty. But it hurts, I whispered, tears welling in my eyes. I know, my dear, she said, wrapping her arms around me in a gentle embrace. But remember, you are not defined by the words of others. You are strong, you are beautiful, and you are loved. And in that moment, as I nestled against her warm embrace, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would always have my grandmother by my side, guiding me through the darkness with her unwavering love and support. The transition to distance learning marked a pivotal moment in my life, a turning point that would forever alter the course of my journey. As I stepped away from the confines of traditional schooling and into the realm of virtual education, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders, a sense of freedom that was both exhilarating and terrifying in equal measure. Gone were the days of navigating crowded hallways filled with whispered insults and mocking glances. Instead, I found myself ensconced in the comfort of my own home, surrounded by familiar sights and sounds that brought me solace in the midst of chaos. In the quiet sanctuary of my bedroom-turned-classroom, I immersed myself in my studies with a newfound fervor, devouring textbooks and poring over assignments with a diligence that bordered on obsession. Freed from the distractions of the outside world, I reveled in the opportunity to explore subjects that had always captivated me, delving deep into the intricacies of the human mind and body. But it was not just the academic realm that underwent a transformation. It was my very essence, my sense of self-worth and identity. No longer shackled by the cruel taunts of my peers, I began to see myself in a new light, recognizing the strength and resilience that had always dwelled within me. Dialogue. Mom, Dad, I want to talk to you about something, I said one evening, mustering up the courage to broach the subject that had been weighing heavily on my mind. What is it, honey? My mother asked, her brow furrowing with concern. I want to switch to distance learning, I replied, my voice steady despite the butterflies that fluttered in my stomach. Why? My father asked, his tone curious but cautious. Because I can't take it anymore, I confessed, tears welling in my eyes. The bullying, the constant harassment, it's too much. I need a break. My parents exchanged a knowing glance, their expressions filled with a mixture of sadness and determination. We understand, sweetheart, my mother said, reaching out to squeeze my hand. We'll do whatever it takes to support you. And with those words of encouragement ringing in my ears, I knew that I had made the right decision. That distance learning was not just a means of escaping the cruelty of the outside world, but a pathway to reclaiming my sense of self and finding the inner strength to rise above adversity. As I delved deeper into the realm of distance learning, I found myself drawn inexorably towards the field of medicine. It was a calling that whispered to me in the quiet moments of introspection, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness that had once engulfed me. With each passing day, my passion for healing grew, fueled by a desire to understand the intricate connection between mind and body. In the hallowed halls of medical college, I found my sanctuary, a place where knowledge was revered and curiosity celebrated. Surrounded by like-minded individuals who shared my thirst for understanding, I embarked upon a journey of discovery, exploring the boundless mysteries of the human condition with a sense of wonder and awe. Under the tutelage of esteemed professors, I immersed myself in the study of psychosomatic medicine, delving deep into the recesses of the human psyche in search of answers. It was a field fraught with complexity and nuance, but I embraced the challenge with a fervor that bordered on obsession, determined to unravel the secrets that lay hidden beneath the surface. Dialogue. Dr. Stevens, I wanted to discuss my research project with you, I said, stepping into my professor's office with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. Of course, Nellie, please have a seat, Dr. Stevens replied, gesturing towards the chair opposite his desk. I've been exploring the relationship between stress and physical health outcomes. I began, my words tumbling out in a rush of enthusiasm. I believe there's a profound connection between the two, one that has far-reaching implications for our understanding of illness and disease. Dr. Stevens listened intently, his brow furrowing with concentration as I outlined my findings and proposed methodologies. That's an intriguing hypothesis, Nellie, he said, nodding thoughtfully. I'd be interested to see where your research leads. Keep me updated on your progress. And with his words of encouragement echoing in my ears, I knew that I was on the right path, that my journey into the world of medicine was just beginning, filled with endless possibilities and boundless potential. The arrival of the prestigious dinner invitation was like a bolt from the blue, a dazzling beacon of opportunity that beckoned me into the rarefied world of the health sector's elite. As I held the ornate envelope in my trembling hands, I felt a surge of excitement mingled with trepidation, unsure of what awaited me on the other side of that elegant parchment. The venue, a luxurious ballroom bathed in the soft glow of candlelight, exuded an air of opulence and sophistication that took my breath away. As I stepped through the grand entrance, the sound of tinkling laughter and animated conversation filled the air, a symphony of voices that spoke of power and influence. Surrounded by the luminaries of the health sector, I felt a sense of awe wash over me, a humble newcomer amidst giants of industry and academia. But beneath the veneer of confidence, a seed of doubt gnawed at my insides, whispering of my inadequacies and insecurities. Dialogue. Dr. Stewart, it's an honor to finally meet you in person, a distinguished gentleman said, extending his hand in greeting. The pleasure is mine, Mr. Thompson, I replied, forcing a smile as I shook his hand firmly. I must say your work in psychosomatic medicine has garnered quite a bit of attention in recent months, Mr. Thompson remarked, his tone tinged with genuine interest. I'm humbled by the recognition, I said, my cheeks flushing with pride, but I believe there's still much to be explored in the field. Indeed, Mr. Thompson agreed, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm, which is why I've been eager to discuss potential collaborations with you. Your unique perspective on holistic healing could revolutionize the way we'd approach healthcare. And as we delved into a spirited discussion about the future of medicine, I felt a glimmer of hope ignite within me, a sense of purpose and possibility that transcended the boundaries of doubt and fear. For in that moment, amidst the glittering chandeliers and clinking glasses, I realized that I had finally found my place among the stars. As the evening of the prestigious dinner drew to a close, I found myself navigating the crowded hallways of the venue, the echoes of laughter and animated conversation fading into the distance. But just as I was about to slip away into the anonymity of the night, a familiar voice cut through the din like a sharp blade, sending a shiver down my spine. Well, if it isn't the ghost girl herself, came the mocking voice of Helen, her tone dripping with disdain. I turned to face her, my heart pounding in my chest, as memories of childhood torment flooded back with visceral intensity. But beneath the veneer of confidence, a steely resolve took hold, bolstered by years of introspection and self-discovery. Helen, I said, my voice steady despite the tumult of emotions swirling within me. It's been a long time. She smirked, her lips curling into a cruel smile as she appraised me with thinly veiled contempt. Look at you, all dressed up like you belong here. Who would have thought the sickly little girl from school would ever make it to a fancy dinner like this? I squared my shoulders, refusing to be cowed by her taunts. I may not have belonged then, but I certainly belong now, I retorted, my words laced with a quiet confidence that belied the uncertainty raging within. Dialogue. You haven't changed a bit, have you? Helen said, her tone tinged with bitterness as she crossed her arms over her chest. And neither have you, I replied, my gaze steady as I met her icy stare. Still clinging to the past, still reveling in cruelty. Helen's eyes flashed with anger, her facade of indifference slipping for a fleeting moment. You think you're better than me, don't you? She spat, her voice tinged with venom. I don't think I'm better, Helen, I said, my tone softening with empathy. But I do think I've grown, and I believe there's still hope for you to do the same. And as I turned away from her, leaving behind the specter of my past, I felt a sense of closure wash over me, a quiet satisfaction born of knowing that I had risen above the darkness that once threatened to consume me. In the wake of my encounter with Helen, I found myself enveloped in a sense of closure, a quiet calm that settled over me like a gentle breeze, carrying with it the promise of a new beginning. As I stepped out into the cool night air, the weight of years of torment and anguish lifted from my shoulders, replaced by a profound sense of peace and liberation. The stars twinkled overhead, casting their soft glow upon the world below, as if bearing witness to the momentous occasion unfolding before them. And amidst the quiet stillness of the night, I felt a surge of gratitude welling within me, a gratitude for the trials that had shaped me, for the lessons learned, and for the strength discovered in the crucible of adversity. Dialogue. "Are you okay?" a voice asked, breaking through the silence like a gentle whisper. I turned to see Mr. Thompson standing beside me, his expression filled with concern. "I am," I replied, offering him a grateful smile. "Thank you for asking." He nodded, his eyes reflecting a depth of understanding that transcended words. "You handled yourself admirably back there, Dr. Stewart," he said, his voice tinged with admiration. "I have no doubt that you have a bright future ahead of you." "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," I said, my heart swelling with gratitude. "Your words mean more to me than you know." And as we stood together beneath the starlit sky, I knew that I had finally found the closure I had been seeking. A closure born not of revenge or triumph, but of forgiveness and acceptance. For in confronting the demons of my past, I had emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. As Helen's life unfolded in the years following our encounter, she found herself ensnared in a web of her own making, a web woven from the threads of cruelty and arrogance that had once defined her existence. Despite her outward bravado and swagger, she discovered that the facade of power and superiority she had so carefully cultivated was but a fragile veneer, easily shattered by the harsh realities of life. With each passing day, Helen's world crumbled around her, like a house of cards collapsing under the weight of its own deceit. The friends she had once held so dear turned their backs on her, repelled by the toxicity of her words and actions. The career she had worked so hard to build unraveled before her eyes, as whispers of her past misdeeds followed her like a shadow, tainting every opportunity that came her way. And amidst the ruins of her former life, Helen found herself alone, a solitary figure adrift in a sea of regret and remorse. The laughter that had once echoed through the halls of her high school now rang hollow in her ears, a bitter reminder of the pain she had inflicted upon others. But it was not just the external trappings of success that eluded Helen, it was the peace of mind and contentment that comes from living a life of kindness and compassion. For no matter how hard she tried to outrun the ghosts of her past, they haunted her still, whispering of the harm she had caused and the lives she had shattered in her quest for dominance. And so, as Helen stood amidst the wreckage of her own making, she came to understand the true cost of her actions, the price of cruelty paid in full with the currency of loneliness and regret. And as she looked upon the world with newfound humility and understanding, she vowed to mend the broken pieces of her soul and seek redemption for the harm she had wrought. For in the end, Helen learned that true strength lies not in the ability to tear others down, but in the capacity to lift them up, to extend a hand of kindness and compassion, even to those who may not deserve it. As I made my way home, the echoes of Helen's taunts fading into the distance, I felt a sense of vindication wash over me, a vindication born not of vengeance, but of the knowledge that I had risen above the cruelty of the world and emerged victorious in the battle for my own self-worth. And as the first light of dawn broke across the horizon, illuminating the path ahead with its golden glow, I knew that the journey was far from over, that new challenges and adventures awaited, each one a testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit.